Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, sometime for all of you. Welcome to another race in the Open League of the ALTTPR League. Tonight we have a race between Vortex of Doom of We Need a Mentor and prdwong of 16-Bit Nerds. My name is Radical Sniper 99, and tonight I am joined by Esmer. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this race. It should be a good one. Currently, we have 16-Bit Nerds up 2 in this series. So in order to keep this this playoff struggle alive, Vortex is going to need to take a game here off of prdwong.
And we can see that in Vortex's name for tonight, Reverse Sweep Now. So hoping to begin the comeback. This is a courage matchup, so we're just getting a straight up open seed, no real twists to worry about. 7-7 defeat Ganon, and we got a quick map check there. I saw 2 crystals. We had Eastern and Hera were definitely vanilla crystals. I did miss Desert.
Yeah, I did as well. We do have a hammer. I don't know if that's going to lead either of these runners down into the front of Escape to start off. It's certainly doable. It can slow you down. So if you know you can do it quick, it's worth it. If you know it's going to slow you down, you might want to check something else first. But we'll see what we find on Uncle here. 20 rupees.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see both of these runners go for the escape sequence with the hammer.
Yeah, it's just harder to route that in later than it is right off the bat, especially if you get that early weapon.
Yeah, I think the question becomes, if you find that small key in the first chest, do you make an attempt for Dark Cross and possibly even the back of Escape? And actually,
yeah, it really
prdwong
depends.
did leave.
Yeah, it really depends how well you know those dark rooms. I don't dislike that from prdwong, as you mentioned, that small key that could have been in Sanctuary, and if it were in Sanctuary, Vortex wouldn't know that, and thus wouldn't be able to know if the items deeper in this escape sequence here were in logic or not, since you do have to have that small key in hand for the game to put those items in logic.
But that bottle in that first chest there in the escape sequence is in logic either way, and that's a really nice find this early.
Yeah, it looks like prdwong finding the piece of heart on the lumberjack, so that's not going to lead us to Aga early. With the hammer already in hand, I don't think we're expecting an early Aga, but until a glove shows up, anything can happen.
Vortex having a little bit of trouble with the hammer. I know he's pretty well versed in this kind of escape sequence, so
it's just a more awkward weapon.
Yeah, the range on the hammer is definitely the hard part. I would say escape with hammer is not too bad, but I would say mini mold worms usually like one of those areas that at least I personally dislike.
Yeah, that one you have to rely so much on the upward-facing hitbox, which is the most awkward one. prdwong getting bailed out, finding a bottle in the forest dropdown. So both Vortex and prdwong are going to have that available for the trip to CAC.
Yeah, and unfortunately that kind of negates, although...
Ooh, Vortex finds that early glove.
So that is actually really big, and does possibly give us an information about where the small key might be. It's very likely that small key is actually in the back of Escape, or in the Dark Cross.
Along with the map. Along with the map, too. The map, too, is, we haven't seen either, I believe. So, that escape sequence can be one that does get left for a while. The problem with that is the fact that it contains the glove means that you're probably going to run out of checks sooner rather than later, and are going to sort of get funneled down there eventually. prdwong finding quite a bit in Blind's Hut there. Sword, fire rod, flippers. Doesn't find the bombs though.
Yeah, if you don't find bombs actually before hitting Kakariko, I prefer a well check first. Well's just a little bit faster, always. But not only are we not... Oh, okay, so there's some bombs. I was about to say, not only were we not getting bombs, we weren't even getting money for anything. And Vortex trying to grind out those 50-50s just outside of Link's house.
prdwong having to head back into Blind's hut to check the back. I don't imagine we would... well, I guess Vortex is going from the south side here, so we'll probably see these 50-50 bushes gathered up here.
And luck is not on Vortex's side here. He did like 3 outside of Link's house, and the first 2 here. There we go.
He's going to want more than just the 1, though. Unfortunately for us, we know that there are 6 of them down in the well, but...
Yeah, 2 at least means he can do race game and possibly do that bombable hut in Kakariko and grind out some bombs in the rat building there.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not a terribly often seen bombable hut in there. Usually only if you're coming from the south side here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those first things you kind of learn when you're early in the game. But as you get more comfortable, you kind of go with, okay, I don't need to do that one.
Ooh, we have a mirror on the library. So that is locked behind the boots.
Okay, and we get confirmation that Desert was actually a blue pendant, so a little less important there.
So our runners are just about to cross paths here. Vortex in the tavern, while prdwong goes and checks the sick kid.
Nice upgrade there with the blue mail.
Yeah, hopefully those boots show up sooner rather than later, because the more mail you get, the harder death warps become. Which is a sort of unintended sort of side effect of the increased defensive power. Blue mail is not so bad. Red mail can sometimes be a little bit obnoxious if you're trying to, say, route in a pod check with without the mirror.
Yeah, what you can kind of look out with pod in some regards. At least, you know, if like you were, well, not in this case because we do have the hammer, but if you had to head up to like Bowlock side of pod, at least there's those spikes right outside that area. So at least, and you know, trap damage is always 1 heart. So, but yeah, getting into like Dark Maze and not having a way to death warp easily.
So Vortex cleaning up these checks. prdwong giving us a look at the dam area.
I think this early, you know, the worst thing that prdwong could find is actually the other glove.
Yeah, I was thinking of bringing that up too, because that means that the mitts are then going to become what's in Zelda's cell. And I know Vortex in particular is no stranger to knowing just how long you can spend playing a seed without the mitts showing up.
Yes, I've heard about some of his the exploits there. And our tracker, Drosy, pointing out that desert looks green to him. Possibly, you know, sometimes you get a quick look at something and you don't notice always the right color, so I might be wrong. Now, Vortex did save and quit after completing Blind's house. Not even gonna worry about checking out Lost Woods.
Yeah, at this point, it's only 2 checks. I think he's sort of banking on seeing if the boots show up here. If the boots show up, then he knows he has the mirror in hand for when he's doing sort of that area of the Dark World and can wrap those into that area if he needs to. prdwong finding the Moon Pearl. So for Vortex, that's going to be Dark World access. So sort of different implications for both of these runners here. Yeah, we see prdwong going for the perfectly in logic factual flippers checks. See Ether on the Lake Hylia Island. I don't think it would be a terrible play after seeing that Moon Pearl to maybe just decide to go straight to Hype Cave or something. Whereas that is not a move that prdwong would feel comfortable at all making.
And Vortex actually kind of skirting our expectations here, heading for Agina. Not a bad idea, as prdwong does find the Bombos medallion.
Yeah, that is a Hobo is an often orphan check. It's a little less so with the early flips, but it really depends on what else shows up, how routing makes sense, because it's a hefty time investment for a single check, and it's one of those ones that you kind of skip if you found a lot of other stuff besides. You sort of can get suckered into skipping it for a while.
Yeah, we didn't find anything in Agina this time, so...
Now, I'm kind of unfamiliar with what the idea behind that play would be. It seems kind of strange to just go all the way over there just for Agina's cave. Maybe just to clean it up.
Yeah, unfortunately, Agina is easily... I think everybody's kind of got a horror story about an Agina cave that they forgot once. You know, everybody's got that one that, oh, I waited forever to go do it, and I last locationed X, Y, or Z item. So that's kind of why you see a lot of runners go there early. It's just so easy to isolate it. You know, it's a sphere 1 check that people kind of just don't think about as being important.
So prdwong is going all the way over here to the Zora area, it looks like. Stun Prize is not going to help him out in that rupee farming for King Zora here. He's going to turn in this mushroom, though, so hopefully he's going to get some rupees from that. I'd like to see another 150 or so before he makes it to the big fish. One for each Pokemon. Vanilla magic powder.
Yeah, I thought it seemed like prdwong was kind of getting set for a save scum just in case, but definitely not required when you get exactly what you wanted out of it, or what you normally expect out of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd save the mushroom in order to use it for the fake powder, but when the mushroom gives you the real powder, there's really no reason to save scum that anymore, and that is an in-logic check right now with that hammer in hand.
Yeah, and it looks like prdwong's actually going to go turn that in immediately to check out Magic Bat.
Yeah, so it looks like Vortex took that took those flippers checks, checked the island, and then checked Hobo. And I'm gonna guess, yeah, he's planning on going straight into the Dark World. So that means he's sort of leaving the other flippers checks behind and Ice Rod Cave. I don't dislike that play, just because this sort of gives you a head start on that Dark World. Ice Rod Cave is really the only question mark, leaving all of those checks up in the Zora area. You can route those in later if you need to. And we're getting our Dark World information. We have 5-6 on Swamp and Mire, Skull Woods, and Pod are our other two pendants.
Now, I know some people enjoy Palace of Darkness. I don't know. That's always that's bait for some bad decisions.
Yeah, it really kind of depends on what your equipment layout is. Say if you have a bottle, you can do that camera unlock trick to sort of increase the value of a dip without necessarily needing to care so much about whether or not it's in logic. If you get the bow already, you can route it in with an Eastern Palace clear. It's sort of all about finding ways to make it more efficient. Because when it's efficient, it can be really efficient, but when it's inefficient, it really eats up a lot of time. So
Vortex is continuing through a normal Dark World, Overworld start, just doing Hype Cave over to Stumpy, and then we'll end up at Dig Game. Probably after that, head into the Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, the main value of doing this, he doesn't have the mitt, so we can't go straight up into the village from the south here. The main advantage is he does get this dig game taken care of before the smith chain becomes available, meaning that this mini game cannot be started if you have a follower, which includes both the smith and the purple chest. So if you make the decision to start the Dark World in the Village of Outcasts, and then you have the opportunity to do either of those checks and circle around south and do these along the way, you sort of have to skip this one. It wouldn't have mattered much in this case, as it's just a piece of heart. Gonna keep digging for some rupees as prdwong continues on in the Eastern Palace. Just barely turning a profit there. He made 16 rupee profit.
And not even picking up that piece of heart after all that work,
I mean, he wanted to make sure he was still at Zora money, and at that point, if you're taking all of those extra digs, why not save the tiny amount of time it takes to
definitely
not pick up the piece of heart.
So Vortex will make a quick check of the back of Escape here.
If he's lucky, the key is in here, and he can go backwards through the Dark Rooms into Dark Cross, because with the Fire Rod in hand, that is actually in logic. And he's not going to pick up the lamp until he gets to Eastern Palace, because prdwong finds it in the, what is that, the compass chest? Map chest?
I do not know off the top of my head. I'm not always.
It's been far too long since any of us have played the vanilla game or opened that
picked
chest.
up that chest.
Whatever it is, it's something you don't need.
Now, we were talking earlier, obviously, we have 2 swords, so we're well equipped there. But when it comes to the hammer hitbox, there's something really interesting, I guess I'll say. I don't know. Interesting to me, at least, is, Vortex is using one of the short sprites. And you actually get a better view of the hammer hitbox with these short sprites.
It's true. He's also a big fan of the... Ooh, that's the other rod. He's a big fan of the Game Boy Color Zelda games, particularly Oracle of Ages, because it's the better one. Yeah, it's a good sprite. It works surprisingly well. It's got sprites already for most of the things Link does in this game. But yeah, unfortunately, prdwong didn't find anything else of value in that Eastern Palace dip. Just that lamp, which doesn't do anything for prdwong, but if Vortex decides to go over there, that's going to be mountain access.
Yeah, I imagine Vortex will wait for heading up to the mountain for a while at this point, just because, he knows where that mirror is, and without a hook shot, like, you don't want to just do Old Man in the inside of Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, it kind of becomes... Okay, well, it's kind of like the early Aga if you haven't seen the Moon Pearl yet, It's like, okay, well, is the Moon Pearl going to be on Pyramid? Because that's the only way that it becomes valuable. The only way the early mountain climb becomes valuable is if the boots are one of those checks, and you need the boots to get the mirror to go over to the right side, get the hook shot or something like that.
So a lot of talk about, prdwong not getting to Dark Cross. I think that what's going to help prdwong find both Ice Rod and Glove is hasn't found the other glove. So, there's no reason why not to go there.
Yeah, and with that lamp, it's going to be, a lot more of a gimme, because all of that is very clearly in logic at this point. But Vortex able to take this all the way through to Zora and actually pay the monster here. The cape, that could be important, but we don't know yet.
Yeah, it's a nice find, because I imagine Vortex's next play is into the Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, and having done the south side already, it makes a lot more sense to do the north side loop.
And really, both of our runners are committing hard to checking all the fetch quests right now.
Purdy Wong, though, heading towards the castle, finally going to do that escape sequence quite a bit later than Vortex. The sort of the damage is a little minimal, though. Just from, not a whole lot has sort of transpired in the meantime. I think Vortex has kind of been having the edge here with the efficiency of the checks, especially with that powder turning up there. Now the obvious play is, go to Kakariko, turn that in, head to the Dark World, and go from there. Probably clear Thieves Town at this point.
But it looks like Vortex is also going to turn in that shovel check.
Oh yeah, that makes even more sense. Just do that on the way.
I don't know.
Because
I am honestly surprised here with how thorough they're being with these overworld checks instead of diving Dark Worlds as quickly as possible.
Knowing that mirror is locked behind something, namely the boots, I feel like you do want to check all of these locations, because you don't want to skip them thinking that you can route them and pick them up later, and then have them turn out to be the boots. You don't want to dig up the boots there thinking that, you would route it in later with, Cave 45 or whatever, because, you need the mirror for that. A lot of these one-off checks become a little easier to route with the mirror, which is the one thing that they know they might need to scour the ends of the earth to find. And especially with how early a lot of these items have been sort of handed out to them. And how freely they were given, this shovel only being behind flippers, which were given away for free in Blind's Hut.
Purdy Wong having to be really careful there. Setting up for the Death Warp, but was getting really bullied by the other, the Green Guard.
Yeah, well, I think wasted a little bit less time than being over-aggressive and realizing that they were... that they'd killed their only means of escape. Interesting, though, sets up the Death Warp, but it basically saves and quits anyway.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I mean, I'm not. I understand that completely. You set up the Death Warp, and then, after you do it, you realize, oh, that was entirely unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, I think his hope at this point is no small key in the back. I'm just gonna... be able to skip Dark Cross. He'll find out that's not the case.
But he's going to go get it. So,
yeah, and he'll be easily able to route backwards here.
Yeah, so right now, the biggest advantage that Vortex would have is the potential of something being in on Bumper Cave Ledge. Because Purdy Wong is going to have to find his way back to Zora before that... comes into play. Nice little game knowledge there, saving that golden bee, getting 100 rupees. Making sure he stays to the left significantly of that bottle salesman, otherwise that bee really likes to attack the duck statue.
I don't know what the duck ever did to it, but
it's the birds and the bees.
Right. So we are going to start to see a little bit more new information now. Vortex heading into Dark World. And it looks like Purdy Wong's probably not far behind.
Yeah, and Purdy Wong might decide to go there first and not do that hype cave start. Which again is a reasonable play at this point. Vortex going to Skullwoods first. I kind of get it. Given that south loop was already checked, I feel like I'd prefer to take the just clear Village of Outcasts and then loop around north. Though I guess if the boots show up here, that makes that loop a lot easier, because you do want to have the mirror and the boots for all those checks, because that allows you to do a Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb, as well as Bonk Rocks. But then Vortex didn't check the woods earlier, so Vortex, I think, really hoping those boots show up at some point here.
Yeah, I still don't know if I like this play into Skull Woods. I know there's 2 items in Skull, and you can get quite a bit of value out of it, but didn't really find anything this time.
Yeah, he might just be eager to see what the value of that cape find is.
And here comes that cape check.
Yeah, if it's boots, that puts him in a really excellent position. Alas, just a piece of heart. So pretty even race right now, all things considered. Vortex has done more checks, has been a little bit more efficient, but we've now basically confirmed that it's for basically no gain. It can come into play in situations like it's nice to use cape strats for Ganon sometimes, but I don't think that's a make or break kind of variable for either of these runners.
Ike, you're bringing up a good question. Is this logically an Agaseed at this point? Were the gloves not in logic?
I would say no, because the lamp is freely accessible in Eastern. So all of that front side, I think, should have been. Well, no, because
actually,
because the key was in the very, very back. So
here's actually the way I'm thinking about this, and chat will surely correct me if I'm wrong on this statement. If you burn the key in the back, you could have gotten to the small key, and if you had burned the key in the front, you could have gotten the glove. So I think either way you would have been fine. So I think not logical Aga. So I think whichever way you draw it, you would have been fine. But I don't know if that's how the game logic works.
So yeah, if you take the small key dropped by the guard and take it back past Dark Cross, then you can get the other small key out of it. So I think that so either you spend the key, yeah, like you said, you either spend the key and get the glove, or spend the key and get the key that you can then spend to get the glove. So I do not believe this is a logical Agaseed. However, that free lamp does really raise that question.
Yeah, it's only because of that lamp, or even the fire rod kind of does.
Yeah, the lamp and fire rod both put that into logic.
So I don't know. That's just how I view it, but I am not.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure your logic is correct there. So that's all 3 medallions having shown up here. So we're not really gonna be seeing a lot of those last item hunt kind of situations. We found the ice rod. We know where all the medallions are. So the only items that we're really gonna need to finish off the seed are gonna be ones that themselves lock away relatively significant portions of the game.
Now that is a nice stun prize. I don't know if we had seen that earlier, but prdwong did find out that our stun prize is a heart. So yeah, really going to town.
It doesn't seem like the most useful. I mean, especially when you do have the powder, but in a lot of situations, it can really be exactly what you need. Especially with the possibility of duplicating them with the hookshot or the boomerang.
Yeah, and at 5 hearts right now, even with blue mail, 5 hearts is not real safe in a dungeon like Thieves Town.
Yeah, especially if you try to play fast, because you can play it fast or you can play it safe. It's sometimes tricky to do both, at least not reliably. Now, I don't recall if the so yeah, the small key has not shown up, so and it cannot be on blind, so that big chest in Thieves Town is going to remain closed.
But here we go with our first actual boss fight on prdwong's side. We're going to get blind. Great thing about blind, of course, is if you know how to do this fight, it goes the same way every time. There is a script to make this fight super straightforward. And prdwong so far on script through phases, the first 2 phases, and perfectly executed there. Nice 3 phases.
I say the blind script and the coffee break are for people who hate gameplay. That's what I say.
I don't coffee break personally, but I definitely am a fan of knowing the script. I put the effort in to learn it, I'm going to keep it. But yes, this is the 3rd game technically that's been played of the series, but it is using the Game 1 settings. Those first 3 games of these best of 5s can be played in any order. Games 2 and 3 were already played, so these are the Game 1 settings of open.
All right, so Vortex now a couple checks ahead. Finishing Thieves Town a little bit behind, but prdwong starting off on this this south loop. We'll see if prdwong decides to farm a little more rupees out of this dig game. Looks like he's had better luck than Vortex did already. I'm gonna pick up the piece of heart.
Save and quitting out of after Thieves Town. There was I thought I noticed a bit of hesitation on what to do there. I think, we're not finding a lot here.
Yeah. There's the back of Skull Woods that's available. I'm kind of wondering what I think he's going to go check. He's got to be checking the Lost Woods right now. He might be going up the mountain.
Yeah,
which is
looks like
a little spooky.
Play.
I know he's checking the lumberjack into Skull Woods. I kind of like this if you're planning on going back into the Dark World right afterwards. And maybe he wants to go and finish off Skull Woods just in case. In which case this does make sense. Again, knowing that mirror is locked behind boots in the library, you're not going to get necessarily a guaranteed good opportunity to route this stuff together any other way. Nope, he's going up the mountain.
Yeah, worst case, we're at least getting that save and quit point, so it's not a complete waste of time.
Yeah, this is about the best time to make a mountain climb you don't need to do, when it doesn't get you that much access and you just get that save and quit point, because that kind of does save a non-trivial amount of time on subsequent trips.
And I just realized that Vortex actually hadn't gone to Eastern Palace yet. Completely forgot he hadn't been there, so no lamp. This could be
that
big,
does mean, yeah, these items are in logic. Yeah.
And we're actually going to get new information from prdwong as well, heading up to our pyramid to check that ledge. And,
ooh, the flute.
Wow.
That's fantastic for Vortex, because now Vortex knows exactly where that lamp cannot be, i.e. up on the mountain. So you need either lamp or the flute to get up there, so he knows that this logical access is the lamp.
Yeah, the only problem there is, like, it does help movement around the world, but unfortunately, no real progression at this point. We don't have Titan's Mitts to access the mire area, so it's not going to move us too much. It's just nice.
Yeah, I still think that's especially good in Vortex's position, because Vortex has cleared out a lot more areas more thoroughly. Again, no reason to return to that northeast side. He's done all the Zora checks. He can get over to the Palace of Darkness area where prdwong is right now really easily. He's done the entire south side of the Dark World. He's sort of cleaned up a lot of stuff, so his options of where to take that duck are looking pretty good. I don't think either runner has checked Ice Rod Cave yet. Maybe we saw it from
no, prdwong did. It wasn't anything important.
But now that's where Vortex is going.
Yeah,
understandably, you don't end up in the situation where you're looking to clean some stuff up, get gifted the flute out of nowhere, and not go back and check Ice Rod Cave just in case it was boots or something. He really doesn't want to see that here. Ooh, and the mitts showing up in the first chest of Pendant Pod.
Yeah, Pendant Pod notorious for always having stuff, it feels like.
Yeah, I think it's just by virtue of the way the dungeon is so non-linearly locked. It's very easy for the randomizer algorithm to put things in there. Just because there's so many things that are only locked behind an item or two. Given the way the key logic has to be laid out, given the items that you need to get to certain chests, etc.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is, prdwong's trying to see if maybe can I find those boots, break out some stuff here. Very nicely done with that the screen there, being able to get the mimics off screen. Really easy with that potion.
One of these does have to be a small key. And there we go. The other chests in the front are all small keys. There can be up to 2 chests in that first, that front half of Palace of Darkness that are not small keys. And we've seen both of them. And that's useful for prdwong to know because that chest in the middle, that vanilla big key chest, has to contain a key. You need to spend a key to get there, so doesn't have to think about that one at all. It's just going to pick up his key from up here. And
yeah, realistically, we'll skip that basement, I would say.
Yeah, you do, because you can just pick that one up later when you're sort of on your way to the boss. If you need to go to the boss, it's a pendant now, so...
And
yeah, going to the back here is the right... Yeah, going to the back here is definitely the right call, because by the time you get done with this, you know whether or not you care about clearing the boss, pedestal notwithstanding.
Of course, in terms of items we could have that on the pedestal, I know it's early to kind of speculate there, but is there anything, boots are unlikely given we have desert as a pendant, Cane of Samaria, possibly, but there's not a ton of options here.
Yeah, it's really the boots or the cane. Hook shot is conceivable. It seems unlikely, though, given the likelihood that we're going to find a bow up on the mountain once boots or hookshot show up. Because right now, boots or hookshot allow access to Paradox Cave. And to be honest, Dark Death Mountain.
And just a heart container. So the only real prize here in Pod was those mitts. Even with that sequence break for the rest of it.
Yeah, and for those of you joining us late, we don't have the mirror, but both runners have seen it in the library. So it's locked behind the boots. We need to find it, but once we get the boots, we just got to pick it up.
And this is an interesting play, I must say, on prdwong's side. I think prdwong's going to go straight into Ice Palace.
Yeah, this is it's kind of bold, given the amount of time you can save if you get the Cane of Samaria before going in. Was, however, foresightful enough to grab a red potion, which is going to help immensely if it comes down to a couple of attempts at the Ice Palace bomb jump. Can drain your health relatively quickly. Vortex, though, going to be picking up the mitts fairly soon as well. I don't think we saw anything else of value in pod, but we're going to see Vortex clear that out as well because why not?
Yeah, and the other thing to consider here is Vortex also does have a potion, I believe. So it is entirely conceivable that Vortex might also potion glitch.
Yeah, I would
be more.
100%. I know Vortex is definitely a fan of making sure you pick up a potion if you're planning to go to pod without a bow.
And no, we have not seen Spectacle Rock. On both the times Vortex was on the mountain, he did not go in to check Spectacle Rock. I am kind of surprised he's, for how thorough he was early, to not check that now is just a little surprising.
Yeah, I do kind of get it though, given that the old man check did pay off so handsomely. To try and sort of not look that gift horse in the mouth a little bit, knowing you've got to come up for the to the mountain sooner or later, and knowing that there are only 2 items that it could be that would really pay off to go check it early, i.e. the boots for the mirror or the hook shot. I'd say it's a measured risk to take. prdwong gets a fantastic Ice Palace bomb jump on the first try there. Excellent
work.
work.
Can I just say that Vortex proved both of us wrong, heading straight for ice as well.
Again, not a terrible idea. As much as Icebreaker speeds it up, it's the game doesn't really care, other than the logical Samaria lock if the boss has a small key. On the plus side for prdwong, Vortex making this play early too diminishes the potential time loss of the Samarialess Ice Palace if it turns out to not be necessary, since they're both going to be losing that time. Vortex showing off the bomb strats here in that Pengator room.
Yeah, lots of practice went in to make sure that goes. It's a really great way to do that, especially if you don't have hookshot.
I mean, even if you do have hookshot, it is slightly faster. It's just it's less brain dead. I use the brain dead hookshot strats.
I'm in the same boat there. That's my preference, but unfortunately, no boots for Ice Palace does make this a little slow to work through, a little harder.
Yeah, I've actually found that it's the ice physics in this game are actually very deliberately designed. It's actually kind of realistic in that it works really terribly the more you try to go fast. If you sort of carefully go, only, up, down, left, right, and don't try to, go diagonally, change directions on the ice and stuff, you kind of slip less. It's a lot more controllable. It really strikes me as very deliberately designed in that regard. Of course, if you're trying to go fast, that's no good. But it's the ice physics in this are very strange.
Now, one thing to keep in mind here, while both of our runners are in Ice Palace, prdwong's a little bit better equipped for this.
Yeah, it definitely has more health. Think still has that red potion. Luckily, both runners do have that Bombos medallion, which is going to help. They can save a couple of fire rod shots if they need them for the boss. And the blue mail is going to help a little bit. And there's the book. That's potentially progress.
Yeah, that's an annoying one to have to find, unfortunately. You want to go into desert without the boots? Unlikely.
Yeah, and unless the hookshot shows up, those boots are going to need to be found before we can check either tablet. Yeah, Vortex shoring up his safeties there, grabbing that fairy as prdwong enters the Cold Stare boss fight. Gets Cold Stare in the corner, gets a couple of slashes, doesn't want to push his luck. This fight can get out of hand very quickly if you take too many hits, even on blue mail. Definitely preferable to get hit by those ice blocks.
Yeah, and recognizing, Cold Stare Puffs will do 3 hearts of damage, so let's keep it a little bit safer here and, pops the red potion early.
Yeah, one thing to be understanding about a fight like this at lower percent is it certainly is possible to do it faster than Pretty Wong just did it, but it's definitely slower to try and fail to do it faster than Pretty Wong just did it. So knowing your limits is very, very important, especially on Cold Stare. So it does a lot of damage, and it's at the bottom of a very long dungeon, so you absolutely do not want to have to do that again.
So it does appear we are being joined by a lot of people from one of the league channels. There was a great race going on ALTTPR League tonight as well. And yes, they were completely swordless. Guess what? We've got swords. We have 2 of them, and we had them in less than 20 minutes.
Yeah, they were both in Blind's Hut. Vortex grabbing another fairy, making the most of those 3 bottles that we already have seen. Purdy Wong now heading over to this Agina's cave check. Spending a little bit more time on it than Vortex did, which is why Vortex checked it earlier when he did.
And here goes Purdy Wong actually doing that desert check.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it does make sense here to go to Agina. Well, I don't know about Agina first, because this is actually a deceptive amount of time because of all these screen transitions. But I imagine we do see Purdy Wong head into desert after this. I think probably just checking this for thoroughness because it's been in logic the entire game. Yeah, gonna head back out and walk to desert.
Important thing to note about the Ice Palace play, by the way, is we did confirm that at least it was not cane locked either. We did not see a small key on Cold Stare, so that meant that the dungeon was not locked by the red cane.
So we see a full heart container on Desert Ledge as Purdy Wong prays to the gods above and rotates those statues around. And we'll see how Vortex fares against Cold Stare. Less hearts, 2 fairies, and a bottle of green potion. So we might see a little bit more reliance on that fire rod.
Knocking Cold Stare into the left corner. I don't think I've seen a lot of people do that.
And gets a double hit off the fire rod, 2 for 1.
Really nice kills here so far.
Yeah, didn't have to use any of those safeties, so those are still in the back pocket for later on.
Vanilla Big Key in Desert Palace. And to the point of whether or not this is in logic, it's a little more complicated because depending on small key logic, you can reach the right side without the hookshot in Ice Palace. But because we got the small keys early, it is very much reasonable to head to the right side and get that big key that way instead of in other fashions.
Yeah, another interesting point, Vortex flutes to 6, jumps down to check Desert Ledge, which he never checked before, just to make sure that the correct play isn't to use the book to go into desert. Confirming that it's just a full heart container, he makes the slightly more lucrative play of going here for Mire Shed and the Misery Mire info. Doesn't find anything particularly useful. And currently with no way to make progress in Mire, regardless of which medallion it is, which I didn't quite catch, just
They
decides to
quaked
save and
me,
quit.
but obviously my eyes have not proven great tonight already.
Yeah, and either way, we know where all of the medallions are right now. So Vortex not making the Desert Palace play. I don't think. Did we see any of the items? We must have seen one of them.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of rupees on the desert torch.
Yes. So we can't get the other one. The other one's on the boss here. So we're gonna see in just a second here if prdwong is going to be making the right choice. As Vortex checks what he left up here, just 20 rupees.
So that leaves us with either Smith Chain, which without mirror and boots is just terrible, or Back of Skull Woods, unless something is on Landmo or the green pendant.
I don't think we saw catfish either.
You may be right. And it's just 10 arrows on Landmo, but we do get the green pendant, so...
Green pendant turn-in. Little unfortunate for prdwong there. You'd like to have the bow available before you head back in that direction.
We actually, to answer the question or statement in chat, we know where the mirror is. It is on the library.
Yeah, the mirror is on the library, but we don't have those booties. Yeah, so given that we don't have the mirror here, it does actually make a little bit of sense to do this, the hammer pegs first, before bringing the smith up here, because, you know, a lot of the time you see runners take the smith, bring them up here, pound the hammer pegs, and then return to smith, but without the mirror, you can't really do that.
So nothing on the hammer pegs, but we're about to get that green pendant turn in. So is this going to be the play? The kind of... Nope.
It is not. That's our third shield, though. The final one now being on Zora Ledge. Both runners decided to skip it because who needs a shield? Yeah, so it's looking like we're down to our last couple checks here. We've got Smith turn in, we've got purple chest, and we've got catfish
And skull.
And back of Skull Woods. Yeah. So, given that we're one bow away from being able to clear pod, I'm not sure which is more attractive at this point. Because Vortex hasn't checked Pyramid Ledge yet, if I'm not mistaken. Having accessed pod from the Flute Spot 5.
I actually have to ask this because I don't remember if he did. Did Vortex ever go back and check Lost Woods?
No, he did not.
And we're going to get that ped check, actually.
Yeah, this makes sense. Go check ped first. Because you know you're probably not going to be able to mirror out after checking the back of Skull Woods. So yeah, just a piece of heart, no pedestal seed this time. Sorry, chat. Oh yeah, of course, Vortex has to clear out desert. Probably going to go for the full clear, especially with the item on the boss.
Yeah, I think green pendant's a little too alluring at this point.
Yeah, it's looking like we're probably going to have boots or hookshot on catfish. My money is on hookshot. I've seen that fish with that tool a number of times. It just feels right to me. It's probably erroneous, but something about it just feels right in my bones.
I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to be a Skull Woods play for this one.
I mean, I'm a catfish sympathizer to the end.
Flute was on the old man. So, prdwong has not climbed the mountain at all yet.
Again, knowing that mirror is locked behind the boots, and knowing that the boots seemingly can't be too far off. You know, really, we're looking for either the boots or the hookshot to turn up very soon in order to even have anything else to check. If you're prdwong here, you want to put that mountain play off till almost the very end, really, just because you know you don't want to have to have to climb up twice. If you know one of those two items is coming, you'd rather have it on your first trip up.
Yeah, the only thing I think would have to be in the back of prdwong's mind is, what if my boots are there?
Yeah, I mean, and again, that becomes more and more likely as time goes on. Again, we're going to be seeing the back of Skull Woods here. I don't think we saw this one from Vortex. Maybe we did, but I think we saw him just sort of do that front side.
Yeah, at the time, Vortex was only at like 4 or 5 hearts, and I can't blame anybody for kind of not wanting to do the rest of Skull Woods at this point.
And especially this check in particular is made quite a bit more trivial and a little bit faster by doing it with the Cane of Samaria. So, the front part doesn't really speed up much at all. So you do that and maybe come back if you find the cane later on. It's not really generally, and since there's only 2 items and both of them can be locked in the back, it's not generally too big a risk. But pretty soon we're going to be seeing what we've left in Skull Woods.
Yeah, the only difficulty talking about Skull Woods always is, I forget where I saw this, but I'd like to bring this up because it's really an interesting kind of tidbit is, Skull Woods is actually notoriously known for having stuff. I want to say I had read somewhere that in like 30+% of seeds, Skull Woods, or open seeds in particular, would have progression.
I feel like it's more likely in the front just because of the amount of locks not required for it. As usual, Sahasrabot still needs to do a little bit of research on the on this playoffs match here. That's all right. We forgive you. Nice Master Sword fight on Mothula there. Red mail. Not the reward he was hoping for. I don't think we saw another item in the front though, so there's still the chest underneath.
Yep. So here comes that check of the under the bridge chest for prdwong. Meanwhile,
I think it's going to be the big
heading.
key, isn't it?
Not necessarily. The big key can.
Oh yeah, the big key can be in the big chest. Yeah.
Vortex being forced to get a first, and there's
there are the boots. Okay.
And I'm not sure why prdwong is leaving this way.
Wants to.
prdwong? Is this a bumper ledge check?
Yeah, couldn't be. Probably just sort of wasn't thinking. At this point, it's kind of getting so late. It's at the point where okay, boots equal mirror. Okay, cool, boots. I got mirrored, and then you sort of just screw up your sort of dark world movement because that mirror opens up a lot of movement options in the dark world. It's kind of a lot like getting the flute in the light world in kind of a weird way. Just because of the amount of movement options it sort of gives to you. A lot of the rest of the time, if you don't have mirror, it's just like, okay, you save and quit and find a light world way that's fast to wherever you need to get to next.
Yeah, luckily Vortex is going to Skull Woods next, so not going to lose too much time here, but, both of our runners are at, 2 crystals apiece, so...
Yeah, prdwong putting off picking up that mirror, doing bonk rocks here first. I imagine we're also... Oh, we're not going to see King's Tomb.
We did actually see King's Tomb.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it was a quick check. Nothing too important at this point. I have to imagine that there's a good chance, I don't know, if you're in prdwong's position, I think you go straight up the mountain and don't worry about, like, your smith checks.
Yeah, I would fully agree with that. Vortex going to this, going to the boots first, so might actually end up skipping the, yeah, decides to save and quit. The danger there is knowing that there's another item in the back. You don't wanna have to end up coming back, you know, an hour later and triple dip Skull Woods, but I think Vortex has seen enough of the rest of the seed to know that, you know, this is that's enough. Interestingly made the same call with Pod earlier. Pieced out after picking up the mitts there. So I guess we'll see.
And I think we'll be pretty much in sync on the mountain, unless
Yeah.
prdwong decides to leave after getting the flute. But I think realistically, I gotta believe he's gonna stay there.
Yeah, I mean, you finish off as much of the mountain as you can, activate the flute afterwards. Flute doesn't save you any time on the mountain proper.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was surprised when Vortex did immediately left without checking Spectacle Rock that first time.
Yeah, Vortex does, you know, make up a little time there, able to flute to Kakariko to get to the mirror just a little bit earlier. Going to be able to flute up to the mountain too, so is going to catch up pretty handily here. So prdwong leaving Spec Rock Cave at around 1 hour 24 seconds. And so we can see just how far Vortex is going to end up being behind. Both of them kind of in lockstep. Vortex has got a couple more inconsequential checks cleared. Looks like it's going to be about, you know, half a minute to 40 seconds difference here on the mountain. So a very close race right now.
Yeah, and at this point, we're really just a bow, hookshot, and a cane away from knowing what we need.
Yeah, so maybe 50 seconds behind. No hookshot available here, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
no Harapot.
We're not seeing all the cool little glitches tonight. Vortex did go back to check Spec Rocket a little later, so it's not that he did not check it.
Yeah, he checked it earlier, just not the first time. He checked it his second time up the mountain.
Yeah. And that's our second item out of Hera. So no progression here in Tower of Hera, but we do have all of our East Death Mountain and at least a few on Dark Death Mountain to check.
Yeah, all but 3. The 3 that are hookshot acquired in Hookshot Cave. So I imagine we're gonna see the hookshot show up here. I just feel like it's sort of gotta be here. I suppose it could at this point be in the front of Swamp Palace, but it's most likely going to be up here on either Dark Death Mountain or Paradox Cave.
I think the thing to really look out for is, you know, TR. If we find that red cane up here, hopefully, you know, we have the medallion to get in.
It's going to be Ether, 100%. No way it's not Ether at this point.
So force double dip coming. Hey,
you got another. Yeah, that's not a bad thing to see. It's not the greatest thing to see. It's a little bit of a time investment but I think going from master to tempered, it's one you're willing to take.
Definitely. With some of the bosses we do have left, you know, we still have to do Trinex. We still have Vitreous. We've got Argus. All these bosses are a lot better and a lot faster with tempered.
Yeah. Yeah, Master Sword to Tempered Sword is by far the most significant weapon upgrade. Maybe you could make a case for a level 0 to level 1 sword, but prdwong giving us our look at the coveted Paradox Cave. Not losing any time here, because any sane person is going to do every last one of these checks.
We've got both boomerangs now. But Paradox...
What every true hero needs.
Wow, Paradox Cave really giving us nothing.
Yeah, a little less surprising given that we do have 3 more Dark World checks here to pick up. It is seeming more likely that we might be seeing that Turtle Rock dip. If we pick up the Cane of Samaria in one of those next 3 checks, we may have to consider whether or not you want to dip into Turtle Rock at this point. The other option, obviously, being that Swamp Palace dive.
And realistically, for prdwong, I think there's a case that, you know, okay, so Bombos Medallion for a TR, but we will not be seeing that Ether Medallion. But if, you know, if we don't find Kane here and thus can't go into Turtle Rock, I think there's a real good case to be made that prdwong does the Smith Chain and Purple Chest while also checking out K45 and Bombos Tablet.
Yeah,
So,
I think we would see Vortex do Purple Chest as well, because I don't think Vortex carried it all the way through. I think Vortex just took it straight to Smith turn in. Still has a Purple Chest. And here we go. Super Bunny Cave has last sword upgrade. That's actually a nice time for that to show up, because now you can decide to leave that one on a lonely island up there.
Yeah, and I think both of our runners will probably skip that one.
Yeah, I mean, after you get a few seeds under your belt, you decide, okay, you know, gold sword over tempered sword isn't going to save you that much time that you go all the way through. That's several screen transitions that you're happy to save. And it looks like we're looking at most likely, you know, either that Purple Chest Bombos tablet or a Swamp Palace dive. That's kind of the obvious play at this moment.
Yeah, our tracker Drosy also bringing up Spike Cave.
Yeah, Spike Cave is also in Logic.
Yeah, we do. While we don't have half magic, we do have a cape and we do have got bottles. So
yeah, we also haven't entered Mire. Obviously, the last time when we were there, we couldn't enter Mire because we had neither boots nor hookshot. So, so the other option, other than, you know, doing that, you know, Purple Chest, Bombos Tablets, Swamp Palace would be, you know, Flute to 6, check Checkerboard Cave, and then take a look into Mire.
Here's the question. You going into Mire without Kane right now?
I mean, it's kind of the same as going into Swamp without Hookshot. Because Swamp without Hookshot, you have access to 2 checks.
And Vortex bringing out the hover tonight.
That's not something you see a whole lot of in Open League. I'm going to guess he's going to give this one shot. All right. I think that's enough here. That's good though. You know, if this ends up being a Cane of Samaria hunt, he's only going to have that one chest sort of staring back at him. Is going to be checking Spike Cave, as prdwong shows us that you know, Checkerboard Cave is nothing. That is sort of the obvious choice for prdwong here, again, having not checked Mire Shed either. Yeah, the way that hovering actually works is you are sort of allowed to, as a valiant effort there from Vortex. Oh, has the fairies still. Has the fairies.
Nicely, you know, has those safeties in hand.
But again, about the hover, it's you are allowed to not be charging up a dash for no more than 1 frame, and you are not allowed to charge up the dash for more than 30 frames, which is the length of the startup animation. So it's a very, very delicate balance there, and if you mess up once, you lose a whole bunch of time, and it's no fun at all. I'm pretty long getting the advantage of the boots and mirror for a speedier front half of the smith chain here. For all the nothing it's worth.
Yeah, at this point, red mail with a tempered sword, you don't really worry about it.
Yeah, Vortex is going to be sitting there at that blue mail, though. Decided not to go defeat Mothula for the red mail. Vortex going to probably maybe dip into Mire at this point.
Yeah, I don't think you go here only dipping 1 item or dipping just checkerboard.
I kind of wonder about this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like the play, but
I mean, I'm just not sure about not checking checkerboard first. Because if you dip Mire, look through it, and then find the Cane of Samaria in checkerboard cave, you feel like a dope. I mean, we know it's not in there, but maybe Vortex gets bailed out here. The infamous French vanilla Cane of Samaria.
yeah, we know that there's probably something either coming for prdwong or Vortex very soon. We just don't know which one. And prdwong also showing us a nice little tech with the purple chest. Once you're back in Dark World, you can leave it behind and just mirror right near the our locksmith and turn it in. Oh no, that is huge. Purple chest having Arcane of Samaria.
Yeah, that's a little rough for Vortex. Especially well, if this isn't too long of a dive, I can see Vortex getting to that check sooner rather than later. If Vortex picks up the hook shot in here, that's not terrible. Though prdwong making the smart choice going to this full clearable dungeon first.
I think I'm gonna be a little bit contrarian with you on this one. I think finding the hook shot is actually bad for Vortex.
Yeah, it kind of would be because prdwong is heading right here.
Yeah. So if you're
finding the hook shot would lead him straight into Swamp. Wouldn't have the incentive to check all that other stuff along the way.
Well, also given the fact that at this point we're hookshot and bow away from go mode, and allowing prdwong to continue to just clear dungeons is going to be huge for him to just kind of steamroll the seed now. So you're almost hoping that hookshot is not here and that we get into a bit more of a hunt to give Vortex time to get that purple chest.
Yeah, I feel like that purple chest has got to be somewhat forthcoming here. Just because you look at the highest density of checks here that he has. I guess he still has the back of pod, but none of that's in logic without the bow, which is, I assume, why he dipped out earlier on it. And, purple chest bomb boost front of skull. He's also got catfish pyramid ledge. Yeah, the vanilla big key also helps him a little bit because that's time he's going to have to spend getting that big key anyway, and at least he's spending it now rather than spending that to full clear the dungeon rather than but that's time that prdwong is also going to have to spend.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there goes Vortex heading out of Mire. And okay, so it does look like Vortex is heading towards purple chest at this point.
Yeah, at this point, again, the biggest dips he has are he's got Swamp Palace ahead of him, and the path to Swamp Palace is clear. He's still looking for 3 items: bow, cane, and hookshot. So he's got 3 checks he could do on the way to Swamp. Purple chest, K45, Bombos tablet. And if any of those have any of the things he's looking for, he knows exactly what he has to do afterwards. Unfortunately, he does have to do this a little slow if he wants to check K45.
Race is still quite even, though, while prdwong is going to be able to single dip Mire, Vortex will not be too far behind at this point.
Yeah, if it does become a hunt, prdwong does have quite a few things sort of lingering around that he might think of checking beforehand. Vortex has actually gotten very lucky in that he saved all of that time of the back of pod, and a bow has not shown up yet, so he hasn't been punished for that at all.
Yeah, hopefully we don't find a bow to be kind of the next item.
Yeah, and at this point, yeah, you go back into Mire, clear the dungeon, and no.
Vortex realizing, oh, I wanted to check Bombo's tablet.
Yeah, see, I was thinking maybe he wanted to check Bombos when he was coming back to Swamp. Now, I swear in the Game Boy Advance remake you could cancel your duck. They hadn't yet implemented the duck cancel in the 90s, though, unfortunately, for all of us playing this game. I'm sure everybody has had at least one instance where they would have loved to have executed a nice duck cancel,
yes.
But 'twas not to be. Now, in chat, about the origin of the name Cave 45, this is merely my personal theory. I've never had it confirmed, but I'm just guessing it's some sort of internal game reference for it. That's what my gut tells me. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm guessing that in lieu of a better name, it just stuck.
And interestingly enough, Vortex is actually skipping Mire for now. I don't actually disagree with this play.
No, I don't either. There are a lot of items in Turtle Rock.
And Vortex knows that he's got nothing left in Mire.
Ooh, has to perform a premeditated duck cancel there. Has to dodge the duck.
And the other thing to notice, prdwong going with that Vitreous fight and really classic, nice NMG strategies there.
Yeah, the problem being if Vortex finds a bow, that Vitreous fight is going to be seconds faster. Probably at least 4 or 5 seconds faster just to kill that big eye with regular arrows. Oh, also, interestingly, Vortex is going this way first. I believe that with the mirror and the boots, it is slightly faster to check this.
Yeah, just realizing you don't have the hook shot.
Oh, yeah.
And prdwong having the exact same thought, heading right up the mountain as well.
Yeah, at this point, you hate to make the extra mountain climb, but you don't. At this point, when you've got a full clearable Turtle Rock, you don't really dip anything else in favor of it. You get a dungeon clear, you collect those 5 items. Yeah. Now, if you'll pay attention in this large room here, as Vortex goes to the left, you'll notice that the path is shorter on the left side than it is on the right. So it is actually shorter to go to that locked door on the north side of this room from this door than it is from the door on the right side. This is the shortest path, so if you have the mirror, it's fastest to actually do that right-hand side first, and then pick that one up later. And since it doesn't really matter which order you do them in, since you really want to do all three anyway, it does save a negligible amount of time.
I was gonna say, I gotta imagine that in a lot of cases it's pretty even, just because you have a lot of quicker ways sometimes getting through that right side room where you have like an invincibility item and can dash it or something.
And also, Vortex with the stair cancel there to dodge that anti-fairy.
And Vortex is getting a real use out of that powder in this race.
I believe we're gonna have the vanilla big key here. Yes, we do. Fortunately for Vortex, prdwong makes the exact same mistake, I think, and oh, maybe prdwong didn't. I'm actually giving Vortex too much credit there. I think prdwong might have actually done that correctly. I didn't see the beginning of that trip around, but that is a very easy mistake to make, since probably 9 out of 10 times you do have the hook shot in that room.
Yeah, we've all been there.
It's at the point where you always feel actually legitimately proud of yourself if you remember that you don't have the hook shot when you get there.
Agreed.
Regardless of the outcome of the race, it's like, yeah, I didn't forget I didn't have the hook shot. That's a win in my book.
Here we go with Mimic Cave up next. And there's our first bow.
Yep, there's the bow. I don't recall our item layout in Eastern. If we have an item on the boss, that could be bad news for Vortex, because now all of those items that he previously left in the back of Pod are now in Logic.
Yeah, and I know our tracker Drosy tonight has been saying that hookshot is clearly in the front of Swamp Palace, and if I got a bow, I would be very tempted to clear all of Pod before going to the front of Swamp.
Yeah, and for me, that question would be whether or not there's an item in Eastern or not. Because if there's not, I might not be so hasty to dip that whole thing. But I mean, I guess, not having the information that I have now, it seems like a fairly obvious play to just go clear Eastern and do all of Pod, but
I mean, I think in either case, we can kind of, I don't want to assume things, but prdwong does have a bit of an advantage here, because the logic says, go to Eastern Palace, you can clear Eastern right after this. We're just looking for hookshot, and wherever hookshot is, prdwong's going to be going there soon, and has the mire clear up on Vortex.
Yep, so Trinex is going to be Vortex's last chance here to get bailed out by that hook shot. Yeah, Vortex, I think, not wanting to use the cape there. I think the idea being to, I don't know. I'm sometimes hesitant to accidentally spend all my magic in that room on the laser bridge. You know, in case, you know, I don't have any to powder the fairy or whatever. Fact remains the cape would have saved a non-trivial amount of time there.
Unfortunately, some of those sword strikes getting eaten there against Trinex, so a little closer than I think Vortex would have liked for that fight.
Yeah, he does, if I recall, he does still have another fairy, so he's going for the quick kill strats there. It's a little risky if you're within one hit of death, but with a fairy, you feel like the time you save is a little more worth it. He's not bailed out by those bombs, so we'll see what he decides to do here.
I think at this point, you know, as bad as this sounds, I think, you know, you gotta Eastern's first, but I think you go in through Dark World.
Yeah, do Pyramid, because I don't think he's done that. You do Pyramid, go over to Pod, and the mirror in the front.
Yeah, there's just so much in the rest of Pod, and I know that's not what... Oh, never mind. Vortex heading over to Kakariko Village. I guess this is going to be Graveyard Ledge.
He might be checking the ped.
Or that.
Because I imagine he knows he has the mitts.
Yeah, you're right. This is going to
So he wouldn't be going this way.
Yep, ped checked. Good call.
And this is going to sort of tell him how important it is to actually clear Pod. Because if it takes a little bit of weight off of the full dungeon clear. But again, it doesn't really offer him any useful information. And I'm sure finding out that there was something on ped is not something he wants to see at an hour 26 in. He's still going to be going over here anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, if it was ped required, there's just, you know, he didn't do skull either. So, and he knows there's an item tied to Mothula at this point.
Yeah, the fact that he went straight there rather than going through the Dark World, you know, if he was really feeling like he needed a ped seed to bail him out, he probably would have gone in through the Dark World and mirrored to check. And then if it was something he needed, he would have gone in and defeated Mothula or something. But yeah, at this point, it's kind of just an awkward position to be in.
Now, prdwong is not heading over to Eastern immediately. I think this could be a check of Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I have some loose ends.
And possibly Catfish as well. Also that check of Graveyard Ledge. And by Graveyard Ledge, I mean Bumper Cave Ledge.
And yes, Lumberjack was checked a lot earlier. It was just a piece of heart. I think, you know, the question of do you dip swamp, you finish the stuff you can in this case.
At this point,
a critical dungeon.
You go to why I don't understand why nobody's picking up their hookshot from Catfish. I know he has it.
Well, prdwong might head there now. This is about as close as he's going to get to Catfish.
I mean, I feel it in my soul. I know it's there. That was a little strange on Vortex's side. I could have sworn that 2 arrows connected with that Igor's eyeball, but who am I to argue with the video game when it decides what hits and what does not?
Now, the only thing that we did see, prdwong did get half magic in the Graveyard Ledge. Nice little bonus. Definitely not required, but I'm sure nobody turns their nose up at that.
Yeah, not going to make a huge difference at this point. Unfortunately for Vortex, prdwong is going to be picking up the hook shot right now.
Well,
I had
nope.
to. I had to try.
Yep. No, I understand.
But prdwong has to head up here to Zora. Wastes a little bit of time. Has the boot, so it's a little quicker than it was when Vortex did it.
And prdwong seeing that mirror shield there, definitely not picking that up. But the question becomes, where does prdwong go after this?
I imagine it's got to be that, as prdwong did do Bombos, right, already?
Yep. And actually refusing the cape.
Yeah, it doesn't... I mean, at this point, you checked ledge. You want to save the little bits of time because you have no idea how close this is. This is becoming a little bit of a hunt. prdwong has no idea he has a bit of an edge here.
And here comes the swamp play from prdwong.
Yeah, at this point, it's where it's got to be.
Drosy getting his wish. I think the one thing I'm unsure of here is if this could be on Helmasaur. I didn't count items, unfortunately, in pod.
Yeah, so there are 2 in front. We'll be seeing soon enough how many there are in the back. Vortex does get a slightly quicker trip through with boots, but a slightly slower trip with those falls to those hard hat beetles getting in his way. The obligatory Swamp Small Key. The Vortex heads down to the dark basement. So chest number 1 that's available. We do have, I guess I misspoke earlier. We do have the left side available. So we've seen 1 dungeon item of a possible 3.
And thank you to Fred here for saying that, at least according to prdwong's tracker, there might still be 1 item left in pod, which would be on the Helmasaur King.
Yeah, by the numbers, prdwong has the advantage here. prdwong has more chests coming up here. But there's that hope and a prayer for Vortex to pull a fast one here.
And Vortex thinking about it and goes, wait, there's 1 item left. He's gonna go for oh wait, is he?
Yeah, because he knows he hasn't picked up the key in the basement here. Just trying to think of the fastest way, and it is indeed open that door, jump down, grab the key, mirror back upstairs basically, and start over again. And that's one of the main reasons it's so crucial to have the mirror if you want to do a fast pod.
And Vortex bailing, so even if it is on Helmasaur, he's not going to be able to gain time off of this.
He's probably just thinking about that item density in Swamp right now. Now, this is panic mode for Vortex here, because, again, his team's playoff hopes ride on the outcome of this match here.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, bailing out on Helmasaur. Little does he know that defeating Helmasaur was sort of his one shot.
Yeah, unfortunately also the one thing we're kind of not also mentioning here is Vortex is also has a few of these lingering checks. Moth also is another pendant boss he left behind. And we know Moth has the red mail.
On the flip side, what else does prdwong have to clean up that would keep him away from that Helmasaur clear? Because right now it looks like we're looking at either vanilla hookshot or Helmasaur hookshot. As prdwong picked up the big key on the left side here, nothing else. So the last check. Well, we're gonna be finding out in a few seconds here. Equipping that mirror preemptively. And there it is, vanilla hookshot in Swamp Palace. That is go mode at 135.05 for prdwong.
And I mean, you know, this will work out for Vortex, but unfortunately, you know, after Vortex clears Swamp Palace, he will have to return to Misery Mire. So there's still a good few
on the flip side, prdwong does have to do Eastern.
True.
Which is compared to a go mode Misery Mire, which Vortex will have, since Vortex has already cleared out that dungeon, is a comparable amount of time. Still has the deficit here in Swamp Palace, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be paying attention to the time difference as both of our runners enter into GT.
Now, I know this is a little bit early, but are you familiar at all with prdwong's preferred GT routing strats?
I am not actually.
I know Vortex is a huge proponent of he really likes to do that left side first and then following through the right.
Yeah, a lot of people will tell you the numbers on doing left to right. So it is definitely the safer play.
Yeah, the one advantage it gives you is it gives you a lot of front-loaded checks as well as the guaranteed ability to go to the right side, which you may otherwise not have.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind is Vortex can save time in this fight, or in Swamp Palace. Vortex has worked quite a bit on getting the the zero cycle of Argus. So I know that's a skill he does have. So could save a little bit of time, and even in phase 2, save a little bit of time.
It's down to whether or not he can hold it together with the nerves riding as high as they are. Unfortunately, the other potential time saves in this front half are ones you're never going to do, i.e. skipping chests. Yeah, prdwong gonna enter Eastern Palace a little bit ahead of Vortex picking up that big key. Or the second left side check, whichever one he hasn't done yet.
Yeah, Vortex did get that big key. And Vortex is really riding the line here. One of those kinds of secondary names for Swamp Palace, of course, being talking about this being a death by 1,000 paper cuts. Because Swamp does not deal much damage at all, but there's just so much in here that will slowly sap you of energy. And here we go. Vortex will be entering go mode momentarily. And there we go. Vortex in go mode at 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 29 seconds. Vortex forgetting to go grab that key real quick. but on his way to the back of Swamp Palace now.
As prdwong is 2 rooms away from the Armos Knights here. And that's going to be the last crystal for prdwong here. So it's a pretty sizable lead. Going to be an entire quick dungeon clear ahead of Vortex.
And
the
nice
Vortex is going to have to hope for some really nice Ganon's Tower luck.
And yes, we will be beginning this game we like to play here. As Drossi enters the command there. This is the Ganon's Tower Big Key guessing game. There are 22 locations in the basement of Ganon's Tower where that big key can be. All you have to do is guess a number between 1 and 22 and tell us where you think it's going to be. Where do you like to take a guess at?
I like to guess 3 because I like to hope that the runner will go Hope Room right, Hope Room left, and then Tile Room and find the big key in there. Just because that's such a good feeling. But in this case, I'm going to reveal my bias. I'm rooting for Vortex here. So I hope that prdwong gets a nice fat 22, but no bias.
So you're hoping for Tile Room?
Yeah, but not the 3rd Tile Room. Not the cool guy Tile Room.
I don't know many people who do cool guy Tile Room, to be honest, but not a bad idea.
And speaking of cool guy Tile Room, I don't think that Vortex is going to be feeling behind enough to go for that. That is the Hail Mary of Hail Marys. If you feel like you've literally got nothing to lose, you go for it. But after abandoning a couple checks to go that hookshot Swamp Dip and getting the hookshot from it, you have enough to convince yourself that maybe you don't need a Hail Mary play that risky. So I would be surprised if Vortex went for that.
Yeah.
So I kind of don't hope for a 22. Maybe I hope for a 21.
The other thing to consider here is we haven't found silver arrows yet. And for as much as we've seen in this seed, them to still be out in the world, a long clear of the GT basement could result in prdwong finding them. And if Vortex routes really nicely in GT, he might not. This is all, of course, speculation, though. So prdwong will be entering GT momentarily, and we'll just try to keep track of the time here to kind of give you a better idea of separation. So the animation finished, and prdwong is into GT at 1:41:34.
It looks like prdwong going for the left side first. There's check number 1. Getting that guaranteed small key underneath the skull there. Going to the Stalfos room for 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And it looks like setting up for a Dark Magician strat here.
So, not 2, 3, 4, or 5. Now, there's there's a pretty high chance that the tile room contains a small key. So if we see enough small keys here, there's a slightly higher chance that the tile room will actually contain the GT big. But we see prdwong heading right past it. So that's 6 and 7. Coming up on the compass room here, we're going to have 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then we'll see if he decides to continue on through to the boss. Or bails out and goes left side after picking up the key. Doesn't even pick up the key. Makes sense, given that he's got 3 in his pocket.
Yeah, given we've pretty much found all the small keys, I don't blame anybody making this decision.
Yeah, so a slightly pedantic note here. Technically, the Dark Magician term refers to continuing on through that right side through to Ice Armos. It's kind of a meaningless term at this point, but it's a point of order, I guess. Vortex getting that slightly faster Vitreous kill, saving a little bit of time. So there's check number 12.
nice NMG style kill there from Vortex.
A little slip up there on the switch strats there from prdwong. Gets the boomerang slickness though. And coming up on chest number 13 in the Fire Snake room.
Hey, we got an invincibility item. prdwong avoided that cape, but can't avoid him forever.
So 13, 14, 15, and 16 are coming up here in the little treasure chamber here.
And there's
There
those
are
silver
those
arrows.
silver arrows.
And that means that our big key is either in Tile Room or behind Ice Armos, or of course in Bob's chest.
Yeah, so looks like if Vortex wanted to make the huge brain strats, would probably go full left. I don't think Vortex is a huge fan of doing
No,
that.
he is definitely a firm believer in the idea that doing right side is better on average.
Yeah, it really doing that left side first, grabbing those 4 in Stalfos chest and heading straight over. We have that that check there, and full left would really be nice here for
And that was
Vortex,
the big
but
key, by the way, in Bob's chest.
yeah. So
yes, that was
what does that make it? 18.
Now, Vortex did pull out that shovel. He's trying to get some arrows. He's definitely really loving them.
Yeah, without finding those silvers, he has just enough to get past the first of those rooms.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind here is prdwong found half magic. So prdwong has quite a few extra safeties or advantages.
Yeah, the half magic isn't going to do as much good without the cape. The Cane of Burned does introduce a massive slowdown during the Ganon fight in particular. It's still safe and makes the fight pretty trivial, but cape is a little better. Not enough to make a difference, though. It is nice to have that half magic for sure.
Yeah, as well as the other piece is prdwong also has red mail. So these are just a few extra advantages.
Well, here's the moment of truth. If Vortex mirrors out of here, its fate is basically sealed at this point.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if Vortex does go full right, I don't think he'll go full right, but if he were to, that would also mean he'll miss the silvers at this point.
Yeah. Again, that can not be so big of a difference. Especially, you know, if prdwong with those extra safeties gets a little overconfident with the final phase, tries to get those silver hits in a little too aggressively, can take a fall. You know, not to cast shade on prdwong's abilities, but it can happen to the best of us, and that would sort of be Vortex's best hope, even if he does go full right here and get that key a little bit faster. As Vortex is just making it to the compass room here as prdwong takes care of Landmos 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, just not having great luck with those silver shots. I think that was a 3-cycle Landmo 2.
Well, I'll admit that's above average for me. At that point, if I've got the half magic, I just pull the fire rod out. I'm a lot more consistent with that.
Okay, so Vortex did only go to compass room and is then heading back to the left side. So Vortex will get those silver arrows.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not really a huge boon, given the we neglected to mention when Vortex entered Ganon's Tower proper, but suffice it to say, it was at least 3 minutes of difference, which is that's a handful of Ganon falls.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think part of that also was, you know, Vortex had lost a little bit of additional time in Swamp given how low his health had gotten. Purdywong remembering to get that key off of the final mini Helmasaur there. And a very nice Moldorm 2 fight, spin or slash and a spin. Foregoing Moldorm's last possession.
It's just 20 rupees anyway. And we'll see how Aga 2 goes. Now these first patterns are going to be the same for both runners. Not getting any hits on that first cycle. So we've got 0 and 1 so far out of a total of 6 that we need to get. It's a nice triple. Might have only counted for double.
That was a definite double there. And that was a triple on that first, or on that previous one. Meanwhile, Vortex did get that big key and is beginning his climb up the GT.
Yeah, so it's going to come down to if Purdywong can first try or even second try this Ganon fight, it's gonna be a victory for the 16-bit nerds here. And given the division record, 16-bit nerds have come out on top for the entirety of the season. So I would say in either case, We Need a Mentor would be the numerical underdogs in this matchup. But this was a very close race. A couple decisions different way could have made the outcome entirely different here.
For Purdywong here, setting up in that corner, getting nice sets of spins, makes a really quick work of phase 2. Really like seeing that kind of pattern from Ganon.
Yeah, and with the red mail, the possible consequences of screwing up your positioning a little bit is pretty much nil. If you know, say you're Vortex and you only have the blue mail, if you're a little too careless, you could end up 2 hits away from death a little faster than you can sometimes expect it. But getting that corner position is really nice for just efficiency here. Now it's just down to getting these last couple hits in.
Nice double there. And
there the last hit.
Meanwhile, Vortex executing a really nice one cycle on land mode 2 there with those silver arrows. But Purdywong is going to cross that bridge, and there we go. Purdywong has completed the race. So get those GGs in chat as I get that final time for you all. Purdywong has finished in first with a racetime.gg time of 1:52:08.
Yeah, honestly, a long seed, and it's kind of not surprising why when you consider the locations of some of these items. We've got the Cane of Samaria was hiding on a purple chest, which is a pretty late check, if I'm being honest. The Boots Locking Mirror in the back of Pendant Skull Woods, and that vanilla hookshot just throwing a wrench into everything. But we are joined here in the booth by, I believe, Purdywong himself. So GG's, Purdywong.
GG's.
So, initial thoughts on this seed?
I don't know. I went back and forth between thinking, oh, I'm probably behind, and then progressed. I was like, well, it's pretty trolly, so I knew if it was a really long seed that I figured I probably had the execution advantage, and then it favored me. But then every so often I'd be like, yeah, but if Vortex just made a couple decisions here and there, I could be super behind. So was a weird feeling back and forth. Sometimes thinking I was okay, sometimes I'm thinking I was super behind.
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely. I thought of both of you very cautious early game. A lot of checks made light world wise before either of you really went into the dark world. So
Yeah, I didn't like when I found the lamp. I thought, okay, you could take the gamble here and just go for Aga, because that's what it really looked like. But then I was like, yeah, but if I just find a glove somewhere, then that whole Aga thing will be all for nothing. So I better just make sure I check some. Like if I would have not gone to Agina's and I would have left Zora, but other than that, I was kind of committed to checking everything else.
Yeah, and between the two of you, it was kind of hard to really pinpoint down a point at which you know the race sort of shifted in the favor of either one of you. It just it's sort of twisted and turned and kind of just sort of by the hand of fate the final hunt ended up in your favor a little bit. The
Yeah.
two big things being I think the biggest thing sort of ended up being the Cane of Samaria showing up. You ended up being the first one to that.
Yeah, but that kind of messed me up too. Where was the cane? It was on the tablet?
Purple
Purple
chest.
chest.
Oh, on the purple chest, yeah. Because my plan was I'll do the smith chain and then I'm right there at swamp. So I'll just, I mean, I didn't really have very many good options. I could have done the like graveyard ledge into catfish checks, but I think that was it. So I was like, I'm here, my path is gonna end up going into swamp, you know, without the hook shot and just see what happens. And then I found the cane and I was like, whoa, now my and Turtle Rock is open, let's go do that. So kind of led me astray.
Yeah, I mean the sort of flip side of that was Vortex ended up dipping Meyer first. So that was kind of the big gamble that I suppose if you had to point to one thing, one decision that lost the race, it was that sort of low value gamble that maybe didn't have as good of a chance of paying off. You know, diving without Samaria for potentially only one item, but all in all, it was just kind of it was the kind of seed where you sort of felt like you had to make those decisions. And meanwhile, Vortex finishes up the final boss fight and is about to finish with an official racetime.gg time of 1 hour 56 minutes and 59 seconds.
So yes, get those GGs in for Vortex. We'll see if he is also available for an interview. I do see him over in chat, so hopefully we'll be able to bring him in as well.
Oh, he's getting fluffed up in the green room there, making sure he's presentable.
So I think the only thing you had kind of left, prdwong, was Helmasaur. We were trying to remember, there was an item still on Helmasaur King?
Yeah, there was one on Helmasaur King. I would have saved that for the very, very end. If my next play was to go ahead and do Spike Cave, because I realized afterwards that the cape did put that in logic. So I would have gotten some bottles and just done that.
Yeah, we also saw you kind of refuse the cape on Zora at that point, so you knew at least it was logical. You were just kind of like, I don't need it.
Yeah, I was like, what does this do for me? Nothing much.
Yeah, and that was really the deciding factor. The time you saved by not picking that up really put you ahead in the race. We're joined here in chat in the booth here by Vortex. GG's Vortex.
Yo, GG. That was quite a seed.
Yeah. So if you
everything
had
felt
to
super
point,
awkward.
if you had to point to somewhere that you think you made your biggest mistake, what would you say, just from your perspective, that was?
Well, I realized as I was opening Meyer, like, oh crap, I have Purple Chest, Cave 45, Bombos Tablet, that like, oh, that's one more chance for value off the book, and it's a way to tie up some loose ends. But I was already in the Meyer area at that point, so it felt like, well, I was just throwing away 30 seconds, and I was still, I don't know, I was still 3 items from go at that point. So I was like, you know, at worst, I'll find the big key and, you know, get out of there. But yeah, that one felt pretty bad. Also, I really considered going and making sure I got at least one item out of Skullwoods on my early dip, and that would have made a huge difference. But that
It really would have.
I don't.
Both of you ended up getting that on your. No, I suppose prdwong, it was the first trip, but prdwong made his trip a lot later than you did.
Yeah, so most of the reason I held off actually was because I knew everything in Western Dark World was out of logic. It was a fun logical Agaseed, by the way.
So
because
actually,
the glove was glove locked.
That was the one we were trying to ascertain,
Yeah,
because we had this back and forth during the race, because Chad also brought this up. Our thought was that if you spent the key to go to Zelda's cell, you would have gotten the glove to get the small key, but if you had gone through the door in the back, you would have gotten the small key anyway. So we weren't sure if that...
The logic, as far as I'm aware, is not sophisticated enough to like... So basically, it expects you to have the key to get to Zelda's cell, and it expects you to have the glove to get the key.
I suppose,
doesn't
that makes
understand
sense,
it
because
the
the
other
Moon
way
Pearl
around.
was available, and the other glove was accessible from Aga Dark World access, regardless of anything else you may have picked up. So it is indeed fully possible to get the other glove, to get the Zelda's cell glove second. So, and indeed, prdwong was considering that Aga play.
Yeah, so what that's why I made the bowless Eastern dip, because from my perspective, a glove or lamp had to be there, and I was really hoping it was the glove, but turned out to be the lamp. So that's why Pod was my next play, because Catfish wasn't in logic, and it felt stupid to run right past Pod to get to the pyramid. So
yeah, the other thing that was from our perspective a little painful to see was you picking up the bow when you did, because all of that time you ended up being able to safely put off the rest of Pod, but then the bow showed up before you were in go mode, and you can't not clear it out in that case.
That one I felt pretty bad about.
It made perfect sense.
I kind of regretted it as soon as I went for it. If the big key had been earlier, I think I would have killed Helma instead of doing the back. Because I knew it was...
Shore up the possibility that your opponent hadn't gotten whatever was in Pod earlier.
Right. So it was mostly that I wanted to get the max value out of actually exploring Pod with bow. And that value was literally just doing bow locked side maybe 2 seconds faster. I almost went for Helma, but I just couldn't at that point. Like, having done the whole back of Pod for nothing, I had to leave. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting prospect. If only you'd gone full left, you would have had a nicer route through GT, and maybe would have been able to close the gap a little bit, because it was only let's see, about 4.5 minutes time difference here.
Yeah, I thought about meme routing GT, but like, I don't know.
It's hard to make that
the
call.
The later I went, the more it was like, because I was thinking about our race yesterday and how, you can feel really behind, but you really don't know what's going on the other side. Like, you can make a mistake and feel like you've lost so much time and that your opponent's playing perfectly, but like, really you don't know. And so just, I don't know, you play your game and hope it's close. And when I started the climb and got like halfway, I think I was in Wizard 1 when you finished. And so I was like, like that's close. I kept it close. I pulled off the hover. That's the actual first time I've ever done it in a race. So yeah, that was.
Yeah, you almost got the second one too.
Yeah. So I'm pretty happy with how I played overall. Like obviously, there would have been some. It was the glove-locked glove that really led me astray because, maybe I commit to getting one item out of Skullwoods there, or maybe I. Yeah, like maybe a couple things are different, but just like making sure I followed the logic and then that book bait in ice, which I think Purdy said he also fell for, which I don't know how you don't. But
either way,
yeah.
that's a very good showing for you and your entire squad in this season here. Go making it all the way to playoffs without a mentor in sight.
Yeah, we still need one, turns out. But yeah, I think we're all pretty happy with the way this season went. Pulling off the division win, and then three close races, all things considered, in the playoffs against very high tier runners. We're pretty happy. I'm proud of my teammates, and yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever comes next, whether it's the main tournament or next season of League or whatever. So
just more ladder.
Yeah, always.
So, and I guess then for the other side, prdwong, you and the 16-bit nerds are moving on to the conference semifinals. And I don't believe we have a competitor yet there. Let me just check what the status is on that other. So currently, Fromp's time is up 1-0 over Stoops Troop. So you'll be facing the winner of that for a chance to get an invite into next year's Invitational League.
Yeah, and I believe their next game is next Tuesday night, the 22nd. So gonna have enough time to get some practice in before then.
Actually, yeah, we've got a game tomorrow between Fromps and Stoops at 5:10 p.m.
Yes. Yeah, and then their final game on Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, that third game will be then. So. But in terms of tomorrow's schedule, we do have, in terms of the Open League, looks like just that matchup between Fromps and Stoops at 5:10. And in terms of the Invitational League, we do have one at 6:10 between I Like Big Boots and Triple Dino Disaster. So not a ton of racing tomorrow, but still some great rando if you're looking for a race to watch. But just want to remind everybody, make sure to follow our runners. They really did put on a great show tonight. Open seed, you kind of don't always expect them to kind of be like this, but they both soldiered through quite a drawn out seed, I'll say. And of course, big shout outs to our tracker tonight, Drosy, and broadcast from Duo, helping with the restream, and then of course my co-commentator Esmer.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure commenting with you, and hopefully we'll see you all next time. So if there's nothing else to say, I think we will see you then.